Good afternoon, everyone. It's time for another episode of the Nan Show. All right. I was tagged in a cross-stitch tag video, but I don't remember who tagged me. So, if you can remember, or if I'll go through my videos if I have to. I'll find out who you were. But it was one of my subscribers, and they tagged me in it. But I can't remember who it was, and I've been so busy. I haven't posted videos in a long time. I did post that last one for the finishing of the Darth Vader one, but it was rather old, and I just had never gotten around. I was going to try to. If you'll notice, I say I've crossed and pasted all these together, but I never did because I couldn't find the right software to do it. And I'll continue working on something like that. But it was a good video. I liked it. But anyways, I guess I'm just going to get right back into doing this because this is going to be a long video anyway. So, the tag is, here's my cross-stitch tag. Now, number one, how did you start and who introduced you to cross-stitching? Nobody introduced me to cross-stitching. It's just somehow I just picked it up. I happened to find a kit. I don't know if I was with my ex or not. But it was around when I first met her, so it would have to have been about 18 to 15 years ago, or at least. Yeah, it would have to have been earlier than that. It would have to have been about 18 years ago. So, anyways, it was that one got lost in the depths of space and time, and I really did a crappy job. And the back was all knotted up and just huge and thick, and just totally didn't know what I was doing. But I got as far enough into it to know that it was something that I would like to do, and so hence, almost 20 years down the road, I'm still stitching. So that's basically how I got started, and it was a Dragon Isle too, and I wish I could find that original pattern, and also I would really like to have seen some of my earlier works. I did find one of the earlier ones, but I was a little bit more, into it then, just to compare my original work with, what I can do now. And I think that would be like a really awesome comparison, but sadly all those are gone. Okay, number two. Well, no, let's finish with number one. So, who introduced me to cross stitching? Nobody. I picked it up on my own. Okay. Do you have a favorite theme or designer? Well, for designers, especially for the longest time, I found a lot of Teresa Wetzler. I just got a Z in there somewhere, and I can never pronounce her last name, and I hope she, forgives me for that. I like her work. She's got a lot of detailed stuff to it. It's not just a simple little house. Or I like the detail when I do my cross stitches. So for a long time it is her. But now, especially thanks to my subscribers, I just can't tell you how much I really appreciate my subscribers. They really pump me up and get me excited into what I want to do next. But now, since I'm looking at actually finishing projects instead of just stitching for the fun of it, I'm looking for, I like to do bigger projects. I like kind of a gothic look, and most of them are centered around women. I just love the female form. I do a lot of, stuff like dragons and my fairy and things like that. And so, yeah, I'm looking at that. And plus, I'm getting into satins now. And so I'm working on a cottonated back and with cotton with satin mix. And my sister, she's doing something that just blows my mind. She is working on satin fabric with silk thread. Oh my God. I want to see this in action. I might even have to try to get into something. But let me finish some of my other projects first before I start something like that. I want to get into linens now and stuff like that. But that's for another question down on the list. Now, number 3. What floss brand do you use? I primarily use DMCs, but like I said, my sister is getting rid of all of her cotton stuff because she's going to the satin and silk thing. So she's going to ship me out a bunch of cotton DMCs, but she said she has some Adas in there too. I mean, some anchors. So I'm really looking forward to checking out the anchors. I talked to her about it. She said there's really no difference between the DMCs and the Adas. Just the only real difference is the colors. So I'm really looking forward to that and seeing what I can do with this. And now that I have my my new pattern making software, which is really cool. I've already made up a couple patterns, and that extra flosses will come in handy. So I'll be able to adapt my projects for what I want to do. Now instead of really checking things out of a book and changing theirs, now I can create my own patterns, and that's what I'm really looking forward to in my next step in evolution in my cross stitching. So I'm really looking forward to that. What flosses brand do I normally use? Primary, DMCs. Hopefully that'll change. Okay. What fabric of choice? Now, almost all of them, predominantly, the number one user that I have is an 18 count Ada. I use different kinds, oatmeals, whites, creams, ancients. This is kind of like the cream one. It's an antique. Yeah, it's antique. I do have some 32 count linen that I want to work with, as I talked about in an earlier video. I do have some 14 fabric, and actually I have done a few things on 14 count, though I don't really prefer 14 count because, like I said, I do the bigger projects, and I like detail in my work. I like to be able to see like what shades of the eye, so you're talking cross stitch that are like 650 by 425, something like that, so I like the detail. But the 14 count was going to come in handy, especially, again, thanks to my subscribers, I'm be more. It's more obvious that I'm a stitcher and stuff, and it's more open to the public and to people I know. So I find there's a lot of people that really asking me to instruct them or help them out and getting started with cross stitching too. So having that 14 count nearby, and plus I have a lot of books here now with smaller patterns, that it'll be easier to do. So I predominantly use nothing smaller than an 18 count, and when I do my bigger projects I'm going to be doing 22 and 28 count, and I've got that 32 count linen I want to get into, so I stay in the upper ends, and I will use the lower ends, the 14 counts, for teaching purposes and stuff like that. So it's the fabric of choice, 18 count Ada. Do you use a needle thread, or are you a lick floss or floss licker? And yes, I'm a floss licker. Even though my eyesight's really bad, how I can get it through there, I don't know. But it just seems to be easier for me. I have used a needle threader, but a lot of times, sometimes I even use, when I'm using like 2 cotton threads and you're using 18 counts, I don't like the bigger needles like these. Oh, this is a, I believe this is 26 tapestry, but it's awfully big when you're looking at those 22 and those 18 counts, and I hate the distortion that it causes when I come through. So a lot of times I'll go down to a regular sewing needle, which is much thinner than these. So it's how I can still be a floss licker. I don't know, it's kind of funny, but yeah, so I can use both, but primarily I'm a floss licker. And it's a running joke between me and my daughter too, is because if the FBI ever wanted to do a DNA profile on me and or my cat, I could probably do a clone of my cat off my cross stitch. And that's kind of funny, but she's my baby, so she ran off that way somewhere. Let's see. So fabric of choice, no. Needle threader, I'm a licker. What kind of stitching frame do you use? Now, I have used the hoops. I have all different kinds of frames. I really, really do. Anywhere from no frame at all, which is how I did the my last project. I really didn't use a frame. I do have some smaller frames for some of the carry-around things that I do, like the small Asian characters, the Chinese ones for the different seasons, and that's really good when you're going to like doctor's appointments or any place where you got to sit and wait, until somebody you can do whatever it is you need to do. So those are really cool to have. So that's the only time I really use a hoop. I don't like the hoop because it kind of damages my fabric and it damages my thread and it leaves the scars, and I really don't like it. So I predominantly, for my bigger sets, I have actually these kind here, and with the stand, and I've developed, I know you can buy them online really easy, but I have a ton of tools, and I do a lot of work with tools and building things. So I built myself a stand for these kind of frames, and I have like a couple of them, and these are really, really good. You can roll it up, so you can get your project here, and it keeps it taut, and you don't have to touch it as much. And so this is primarily my favorite kind of frame to use. There's a few other things that I've been noticing as I've been doing, looking through YouTube and stuff and watching the people whom I subscribe to. I see a lot of the different frames that they have, and they've got this one where it's kind of squared and it's got the little plastic hooks or little clasps that come down on top of it. I really liking the way that's looking. I'm gonna have to check into it. I don't know what it is actually, so I'll have to do some research. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, which I can understand if you don't, please give me an idea as to